Is it possible to start on a 600cc Supersport motorcycle? In this video I will talk about this topic. First I want to talk about my own motorcycling experience. A little bit over a year ago I started to attempt getting my motorcycling license. In Europe it's a requirement, or else you can't. The motorcycle I drove during my course was a CBR600. It is a naked bike version of this motorcycle. It has less horsepower and a little bit more torque. So I was familiar to the inline 4 powertrain. After I got my license, I didn't go right ahead and buy my own bike. I rented a couple of bikes. I rented a Tracer 700. It's a 2-cylinder engine. The Tracer is a touring motorcycle. The touring seated position was lovely, it was very comfortable, but the 75 horsepower from the Tracer 700 was definitely not enough for me. I'm used to driving fast cars, and my expectation of a motorcycle were set high. So I wanted my motorcycle to perform very fast, and the Tracer definitely did not have that. After that I rented a GS 800, also not fast, lovely low end power and torque, but top end was it was definitely not impressive. I also rode a Harley just for fun. I also rode a 1250 GS. That one was lovely, but way too expensive, and that's a bike for maybe in the future. I also rode a couple of naked bikes, a Supermoto. The 2-cylinder engines were great, lots of torque, but top end power wasn't very existent for me. I haven't driven a 3-cylinder engine yet, but I will soon, and I will make a video about it as well. So I always craved the inline 4 powertrain, and you have to live with the lack of low end power, but when you get high in the revs, it's so lovely. So a 600cc Supersport motorcycle as my first bike. The first few weeks I had this bike, I never went above 9,000 RPM. So I never hit the power band of this motorcycle. And by doing so, I was able to safely maneuver through the learning process with this bike. But what I mostly struggled with is not the power. No, it's the brakes. This bike does not have ABS, and I was very not scared but cautious when braking. And with it I learned to look very far forward and more rely on engine braking and trying to use the brakes less possible. We're in 6th gear, and I will do full throttle at 3000 RPM. Look at this. Nothing happens. You saw that? That's definitely not impressive. And let's be honest, a lot of people want a Supersport motorcycle just for the looks. It looks great, it looks sporty, it looks racy. But the truth is that it's definitely not very comfortable. After riding it for a while, it's like somebody beat you up or something. It can be very harsh. So for starters, to be honest, there are much better, much more suitable motorcycles. But let's say you're like me, you just have to get a Supersport, and not a 300cc Supersport look-alike beginner motorcycle, but the real thing, the real 600cc. 1000cc I definitely do not recommend as a beginner, because 1000cc also has a lot of low down power. So no, you should definitely never start on a 1000cc Supersport motorcycle. Let me just turn around here. Also, what's very great about this thing is that it's very lightweight. It weighs 169 kilograms empty. So it's very nimble and agile, and that's a lovely thing if you're a beginner. You want something that's nimble and agile, and not something that's heavy and makes you panic when taking a corner. That wasn't even full throttle. So if you want to start on a thing like this, think again. You really have to be cautious about your throttle input. If you're in lower RPMs, then it's okay. It takes a while to wind this thing up, but if you're in lower gears and higher RPMs, then it can be very dangerous for a beginner. But how I did it was driving it below 9000 RPM for a couple of weeks, and then go to 10, a couple of days later go to 11, like that. Just build it up cautiously. Don't rush into things. If you know from yourself that you're a bit impatient and you like to rush things, then I do not recommend you get a Supersport motorcycle of this caliber. Start on a smaller bike and just yank that thing up to the rev limiter and still keep it fairly safe. But the thing I struggled most with were the brakes, because this thing doesn't have no ABS. You saw that, and it slipped a bit. And it does 120 kilometers in first gear, so be cautious of that as well. You really have to respect the power of this thing, or else you get yourself in trouble, and it will end up very badly for you. Also, maintenance. If you want to do your own maintenance, having a Supersport, you always have to remove the fairings, and believe me, that's a pain in the... Believe me, because with a naked motorcycle they're much more easy to work on. Insurance is a lot cheaper. The price is most of the time cheaper. But if you really have to and you can't help yourself, and you're very cautious and you respect the performance of this thing, then it's a great starter bike.